Okay, so get off AI. Stop using AI as the be-all, end-all, because here's the thing. What AI does for you is it's going to write something, and it's going to look very great because it's all of a sudden going to pop up, you're going to enter something, it's going to pop up, and it's going to say, here's what you do. But what it's really doing is aggregating all the things it's already found and turning it into something that it thinks works as kind of like the mid-grades.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Kessel, and today I'm joined by someone I'm looking forward to chatting with, Jarred Talmadge, who is a marketing alignment specialist. So excited to have you here today, Jarred.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, let's dive in. First off, for those not familiar with you and your work, can you share what your main focus is?
Yes. So what I do is I do marketing alignment. So think of it this way. When you are working with your messaging, whether that is social media, email, marketing, newsletters, whatever it is, doesn't matter. It's all encompassing. But the idea is simply this. When you send out a message, you say, wow, this message is great. And then nobody responds. What you have is a situation where it looks great and doesn't work. That is both my primary product and explains what I do. I help you look at your marketing and say, wow, this isn't working. Let's talk about why it's not working and how to fix it. And so I get into the nitty-gritty details of saying, well, let's look at the real message that you're sending, because a lot of times people get cluttered with their messaging because they're too close to it. And so they're more in a situation where they say, oh, well, I sent out this thing and normally it gets all these likes, or I get this reaction. But the truth of the matter is that those reactions don't pay the bills. You want people to actually land on your page and say, or land with your message and say, I want to work with that person. And if that's not the reaction you're getting, then you need somebody like me who can actually sit down and say, look, let me look at your messaging and tell you, this is what's wrong with it. This is how we fix it. And then once you do that, you send it back out into the world and it has a completely different result. And a lot of times it's not because it's not because it's bad. It just isn't aligned as much as it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what does the process look like to get the messaging on the most aligned path and help that person, bring in their clients?
So basically what I do is first I start with a diagnosis. And the reason we do that is because a lot of marketers will go out there and they'll say, here's what your problem is. You have whatever problem they've decided you have. But imagine you're building a house, right? And somebody says to you, well, we don't have to worry about the land or surveying the land or leveling the project. We're just going to build the house on top of it. Okay. But what happens when anything happens? The house literally would collapse because there's no foundation to it. So what I do is I start with the diagnostic and I say, look, this is not, this is how I kind of start, but this is not a requirement to say, well, you have to go through all these steps. You can simply say, look, I want to know what's wrong. Well, great. Like anybody else, I'm going to sit down with you and say, okay, send me your messaging or give me your piece or your website address, whatever it is. And I will take a look at it. And then I can diagnose it and say, I might tell you, you know what, it's perfectly fine. It's just a matter of you're not doing something. That's totally legit. But a lot of times what happens is the message is getting lost in the process. And somewhere along the lines, it goes from, well, I wanted to do this to I'm actually saying this. And the client can't even explain to you what's wrong. They just go, I just don't feel it. And then they move on.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And you're left with, I have a marketing message that I think is really great and it doesn't work. And so my first thing is I sit down with them and say, all right, let's do a diagnosis. Let's take a look at your messaging and say, what's wrong with it? And that way I can literally say, here's what's wrong with it. That's step one. And the client is fully free to stop at that and say, you know what, great, that's what I needed. I'm going to go take it back to my team and do whatever. Great. I'm totally okay with that. My next step after that is I will actually blueprint the fix for you. And that is the second part of the project. And I say, look, you can't just go directly to a blueprint because if you don't know what you're dealing with, you have no way to go to the blueprint. So say, okay, let's do the diagnosis first. Then we go to blueprint and say, okay, if you want me to actually map out for you how to fix it, I'll do a blueprint. And I'll literally give you a printed page and you'll send it to you and it'll say, this is what you should do. This is why it works. This is why it doesn't work. And I'll tell you everything that from my 30 years of marketing, it'll tell you what's wrong. And then finally, step 3 is the implementation. If you don't want to do it yourself, and a lot of people don't, I'll do it for you. But most of the time, they get to the blueprint and they say, hey, we're pretty good because we have a team doing this. We just didn't know what the base problem was. And once they've defined it, it's kind of like that aha moment. Oh, that makes sense now. Okay, great. The reality of it is you look at that and say, wow, I couldn't have seen that because I was literally too close to the problem before.
Right. And so what does your role look like in helping someone shift their messaging? Are you asking someone to share about their business or how do you know what their messaging would be? But
yeah. So I actually built a page because I'm in the process of building up the clientele. And so what I did was I have 2 ways to go about this. The first way is I have kind of like a preview special going on right now. And the website address for that is simply looksfinedoesn'twork.com. And you can go in there and it basically explains to you how it works. And you can have one marketing piece, whether that's an email or a newsletter or a website front page, whatever it is that you want. You literally go onto that site. And you can say, hit the diagnosis, and it'll ask you a bunch of questions. And it'll ask you, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you think you're doing? What is it that you're actually doing? And it takes about 5 minutes to fill out this questionnaire. You hit submit, and it'll send it to me. And then basically, it goes through the process and it says, okay, here, great. This is my little discounted thing. But it gives people a really good way to understand who I am and how it works. And they can get some really good insight for a really respectable price. And then they can decide, hey, you know what? I want you to do this to all of my marketing. By all means, we can do that. Or they can say, you know what? This is great. This is the insight I wanted. And so that's kind of how I get started. If they're looking for more insight and they're saying, well, I'm listening to this and I definitely want it, then they want to go to my main website, which is authority-inc.com. And again, it's the same thing. You just hit request the diagnostic and it'll tell you the processes and the steps. It'll explain to you what you get. But I believe at the end of the day, when you can actually stare at what you've done and say, here's why it's not working, here's how I could fix it, and then you can send that back out into the world and all of a sudden it starts working, that's where the sweet spots happen. Because now you understand that what if you did that to every one of your marketing pieces after that? It would change everything. And for people in real estate, I came from a real estate background. I spent 30 years in the mortgage business. And I was a real estate agent. And so I understand that the messaging, everybody's really tempted to do AI messaging, but AI will make you look like everybody else. That's not how you win in this game. And obviously investors know this. You can't win by looking like everybody else. You have to look different. And that's what I help them do, is make sure they look different.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there like a specific creative process that you guide people through to get
Um,
better messaging?
it's
Yep.
not necessarily that they need to go through the creative process. It's more that's just my creative process, that I want to have a conversation with them and say, hey, how can I help you fix this problem? So if you came to, let's say, well, for example, you're a podcast, you come to me and say, hey, I have this podcast, but I want more reach. Great. Let's look at all the things that you're doing that get you the reach, and then let's look at how you can make that stronger. For a real estate person, I look at it and say, okay, you're doing real estate. Maybe your marketing is not hitting the things that a client would hit. For example, I had somebody I was looking at the other day, and they run a plumbing company. And the plumbing company, their headline, well, they think it's really great, but their headline didn't hit the pain point that the client was going to do for the client to go, you know what? That's the person I want, because that's the person who understands me. And what I'm pitching to them now is, you do realize that we don't have to redo your entire website. We have to do that top line, because the top line doesn't make any sense to the client. If you just change that one line, all of a sudden you go from somebody who looks like, oh, you got a really pretty website, but I don't know if I want to work with you, to, hey, they get me and I want to work with them. And when you plug that into somebody, then it starts to make sense, because all of a sudden they go, oh, well, I didn't even think of that. Well, yeah, because again, too close.
Yeah, absolutely. What are like some of the biggest mistakes that your clients make?
So the biggest thing is they're all trying to look like whatever version of professional they think they're supposed to be. And in this day and age, social media, everybody is persuading, and yet nobody's actually persuading anybody, because they're all following up with the same messaging. And they say, oh, well, what they do is, for example, let's say there's a company and they say, well, this other company kind of has our image that we want. And so what they do is they go copy that image, and they go copy everything about that image. And they say, oh, but now mine will work because this person over here is very successful. Well, yeah, but you're only seeing the surface part of their success. You don't know what they're actually doing. And until you get into really breaking that down, just copying somebody else's stuff doesn't work. And so that's where I tell people, it's like, look, you can't, there's not a magic solution to everything. It's not like I can say, well, I'm going to just change the words on your website and all of a sudden you're going to be better. But the goal in that is to basically be more of yourself, because when you're more of yourself, you're not like everybody else. And when you do that, you'll actually stand out as in a market, as opposed to just being like everybody else. And in a lot of times we strive for that sense of, well, we have to be like everybody else. Well, the people that have been most successful in the world are the people that went, you know what? I don't care if I'm like everybody else. I want to be like me. And they force the world to adapt to them instead of the other way around. And that's basically what I help them do.
Yeah, amazing. And so, what are some tips you would give to real estate professionals?
Okay, so get off AI. Stop using AI as the be all end all, because here's the thing. What AI does for you is it's going to write something, and it's going to look very great, because it's all of a sudden going to pop up, you're going to enter something, it's going to pop up, and it's going to say, here's what you do. But what it's really doing is aggregating all the things it's already found and turning it into something that it thinks works as kind of like the mid-grade. So if you think about it, it's like going to school and saying, I'm satisfied with getting a C instead of going for a B or an A. Because what you're doing is you're saying, you know what, I'm just going to go for mediocre. And the thing is, if you don't think people know you're using AI, then you absolutely are getting conned by it. And so stop using AI for everything. get somebody who understands the process. The other thing I tell people is when it comes to real estate investing, or even any part of that, okay, this is going back to that same premise that there's always a buyer for whatever it is you're selling. The thing is, if you come with a more generalized message that's trying to reach everybody in the market, an example would be if you're working with a multi-property investor who's got multiple apartment units, that message is going to be different than somebody who's trying to, say, rent a one-bedroom or a small one-bedroom, one-bath condo versus somebody who's trying to rent a house. All those messages are different, but the thing is, AI doesn't understand context, and it can't think for you. So if you do that, all you're doing is getting the base lowest possible model. Well, that also means you're going to get the lowest base model response, and nobody wants that.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, 100%. It's quite obvious when something is AI. I mean, I think ChatGPT, at least, I can tell right away. Do you ever use AI to your advantage or no?
Nope. No, I'm a writer by trade.
Yeah.
My first job was a journalist. I've written 13 books, 14 books. I can't remember anymore. I've ghostwritten another dozen or so more books. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like I said, it comes down to judgment. I can spot an AI written document, or I'm now spotting AI written books, which really scares me because you're in a situation there where if somebody knows what to look for the cues, they know it's written. Visually, you can almost tell when something is AI generated. It has a specific signature style to it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not. If you want to stand out, it's not going to help you that much.
Yeah, definitely. What is the most helpful way that someone would stand out in their messaging?
So if you think about their messaging and you say, do you want to stand out? The question is, a lot of people use themselves as an example to say, well, would I buy this? You're not the market. Okay? You're not the market. You want to stand out, go find the people who actually have bought your stuff and ask them, hey, why did you buy this from me? What was it that I did that got you to buy this? And they'll tell you, or most of them will. And so if they tell you that and you say, wow, that's like not what I was messaging on, well, that should tell you something. Because you may have accidentally got lucky and sold that person even though you weren't trying to message them correctly. Imagine what you could do if your message was aligned.
Right. And so what does aligned messaging make someone feel?
So that entirely depends on what you want them to say. Here's the thing.
Right.
If you think about it, okay, and this is advertising 101, you will never see a car ad that doesn't tell you to go to the dealership and look at the car next. Okay? If you think about it, pick any car manufacturer and it says literally go visit your local blah, 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 blah dealership for more information, or they'll call it a sales center, or they'll call it something else. It doesn't matter what they call it. Ultimately, it's the same thing. It's because advertising and marketing has one distinct thing, which is they never allow the client to go, what should I do next? And so if you ask yourself when you're looking at your marketing, you say, well, am I telling them what to do next? How do they get in touch with me? How do they access what I'm doing? What information do I give? How do they take the next step? Most advertising, the professionals know how to do it and it becomes seamless and you don't even think about it. But when you're talking about somebody who says, I'm advertising something real estate related, they basically tell you it's great. We have this, we have this, we have this, we have this, we have this. And it talks about all the great things you get from it, but almost never do they tell you what to do next. And the thing is, when you tell them what to do next, you've taken that thought process out of that person's head and they go, oh, I'm supposed to do this. And now they go do it. You know, Coca-Cola is the master of doing this, right? Go to the store, buy a Coke because you'll feel better. You can share it with your friends. You can do whatever it is. They do it. Car dealerships do it. Beer ads do it. Drug companies are notorious for doing it because you always hear the thing, talk to your doctor about such and such a drug that might be able to help you. Why? Because they're telling you exactly what they want you to do. And so if your advertising or your marketing is not aligned, it's not telling them what to do next. They're just looking at it going, oh, well, I don't know why it didn't work. Well, did you tell them to call you? No. Did you tell them to reach out? No. Did you tell them to go to your website and ask for something? No. Most of the time they don't. It's because it's not naturally part of the process. It comes off as salesy, and we don't like feeling salesy. We don't like being sold to. But the thing is, at the same time, where the true sweet spot is when they think they've made the decision because you've made it for them. They just don't realize it. And that's the power of what I do.
Yeah, that is awesome. And so like the marketing is what allows the client to then make that informed decision, right?
Think of it this way, okay? Marketing and marketing alignment is nothing more than happiness. How would you define happiness? Happiness is when reality exceeds expectation, okay? So if you say, I'm selling such a product, and they say, well, I have this, whatever their expectation coming into it is, they say, well, I have this expectation, and then you exceed it, client's happy. It's literally that easy and that complicated at the same time. So.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for sharing all that. Well, before we begin to wrap up here, if someone wants to reach out, connect, and learn more, where can people find you and connect with you?
So the easiest thing to do is if they want to try me out, find out what I'm all about, find out what we do for a reasonable cost, check out looksfinedoesn'twork.com. It's all one word, no spaces, no punctuation, just looksfinedoesn'twork.com. And that is my my intro marketing analysis page. Or if they want more full marketing analysis or want to learn more about me, my website is authority-inc.com.
Perfect. We'll appreciate your time and your perspective. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. And for those tuning in to our show, if you got value, make sure you've subscribed. We've got more conversations with operators like Jarred who are building real businesses. And we'll see you on our next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.